Alright, if you're watching this video, you should have already logged into your Canvas account and looked at the assignments and then clicked on the link for the video. Below the link for the video, there's a link to go to Code Academy Labs. So it's right here. Go ahead and click on that link. It'll take you to a page that lets you do some programming in 3 different languages. We're going to use Python. There's 2 different ways that you can do this. You can either type all of your commands over here at the left and run them all at the same time, or you can run them one by one over here at the right. If your page didn't load all the way, just refresh it and it should load eventually. And over here is where we're going to use the computer to help us out. So let's start out and let's say that we want to send the message math to someone. So first I convert these letters into numbers using this table over here. So it looks like the numbers are 13, 1, 20, and 8. Alright, and let's say that I want to use these, the aim function. So this was a function from the homework. Let's say we want to use the aim function to encode these letters. So that means I'm going to have to figure out what happens when I put a 13 into the aim function, what happens when I put a 1 into the aim function, what happens when I put a 20 into the aim function, what happens when I put an 8 into the aim function. This is a pretty simple function, so we could probably figure this out quickly in our heads, but I just want to show you how you can use Python to figure this out for you. You just have to first tell Python about your function, and you do that by defining a function. You just type def and then a space. Then you type the name of your function. This is the aim function. And then parentheses with the variable, just like in function notation. The thing that's a little bit different is to define the function, you put a colon and then hit return. You'll notice how right here there's 2 dots waiting for you to now type in the definition of this function. And what you want this function to do is return the answer to you. So in computer programming there's a special word, return. And so just type that in, return. And now we have to type the equation for this function, and it looks like all we have to do is multiply x by 2 and then do plus 1. So I'll do 2 times x and then plus 1. Notice how multiplication is a star, the asterisk in computer programming. In computer programming you can't just put the 2 next to the x. It won't realize that that means multiplication, so you have to type multiplication symbol with an asterisk. Hit return. Notice how there's still the dots here. Hit return again, and then it will all turn orange, and that means that Python, the computer, now knows what your definition of the aim function is. And now you can use it to figure out how to encode all of your numbers. Type aim of 13, aim of 1, aim of 20, and the aim function of 8. So now I have all of the encoded numbers. I'm going to write those on my paper. So this is 27, 3, 41, and 17. Alright, now let's assume that you sent those numbers over to someone that knows the inverse function. Let's see how they would decode your message. So the message that you sent would be 27, 3, 41, 17. Okay, so they know what the inverse function is, so we'll also use the computer to help us figure this out. Here's the inverse aim function right here. Remember the little -1 here means inverse function. Unfortunately, you can't type that little -1 on the computer, so I'm just going to type inverse, INV, aim, for inverse aim function on the computer. I'm going to define this new function. It's not the same as the aim function, so I need to define it again. I'll just type INV, AIM. You can't have any spaces in the names of your functions, so I'll just do it all one word like that. Then I'll put the colon and hit enter. And now I want this function to return to me the answer, and let's take a look at what the answer should be. You should first have to do x minus 1, and then that whole thing gets divided by 2. You might be tempted to do that like this, x minus 1, and then the division symbol is the fraction, this slash right here, x minus 1 divided by 2. But if you do it like that, it's only going to divide the 1 by 2, and we want the whole thing, x minus 1, to be divided by 2. So I'll put parentheses around it, like that. Now I can hit enter 2 times, and it turns orange, and now I know that the inverse aim function is defined. So if I wanted to decode my message, I would just use the inverse aim function for 27. Then I would use it for 3. Then I would use it for 41. and then I would juice it for 17. And I would get the numbers, so the inverse aim function, when I put a 27 in, gives a 13. The inverse aim function, when I put a 3 in, gives a 1. Inverse aim function, when I put 41 in, gives a 20. And then the inverse aim function, when I put a 17 in, gives an 8. And then I could just check my table. 13 is M, 1 is A, 20 is T, and then 8 is H. And then the person who I sent the message to would know that I sent the message math.